Well, and Ross made a very important point there, that no one had surprised him yet about anything that had been said so far. So let us speak to Barry Sheerman, the chair of the Education Select Committee, who has previously called on the Prime Minister to stand down. So the surprising thing would be, Mr Sheerman, to hear you say this is completely wrong-headed and that they should stop what they're doing.
No, but I was actually very surprised because I think everybody knows that I've become one of the usual suspects. That I said after our disastrous election campaign and the Euro elections in June and the local election disaster, I called for Gordon to step down. But before that, I'd been campaigning in the parliamentary party for a vote, a secret ballot. And I was very disappointed to see, Margaret Beckett's been wheeled out, and I think Neil Kinnock's been wheeled out, as they always are, to defend the Prime Minister. They weren't wheeled out, and they certainly put their heads above the parapet when,
Hang on, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr Sheerman. Isn't that deeply patronising to say that Margaret Beckett has been wheeled out? Doesn't she know her own mind?
Well, I have to tell you that she wasn't wheeled out, or she didn't rush to the camera when Gordon Brown and his team were undermining Tony Blair and had a systematic campaign against him and destabilised him and forced him out of office. I didn't hear that call for loyalty from people like Neil Kinnock, and I didn't hear it from Margaret Beckett. And I certainly don't believe calling people names and saying we're stupid even to want a ballot in the parliamentary party, which could take place next Monday. Now, I didn't know that Jeff Hoon and Pat Hewitt were going to do this and to issue this letter. I welcome it, and I don't want to call people names. I want a rational discussion about this, have a secret ballot vote on Monday in the PLP next Monday, and clear this out of the way.
OK, well, you talked about the former Foreign Secretary, Margaret Beckett. You talked about Neil Kinnock as not having rallied to the cause of Tony Blair. No, but what about David Blunkett? He most certainly did rally to the cause of Tony Blair, and he's saying the ballot being called for is not possible to our party's rules. It is not wanted by the Parliamentary Labour Party, and what is more, it is not needed.
Well, David obviously knows more about the Parliamentary Labour Party rules than I do, because I understand that there is no barrier for us to have a secret ballot. Otherwise, why have the PLP? Is it only a place where the Prime Minister and Cabinet Ministers perform on a Monday night and the backbenchers have no voice at all in a so-called modern democratic party? In a modern democratic party, there should be votes, and we should have backbench capacity to make their feelings known. That is what has caused this frustration over this last period, that the PLP has been manipulated by Gordon Brown and by the whips to stop us having an open discussion and having a vote.
Mr Sheerman, isn't this just decadent? You are months away, at the most probably 4 months away from a general election. You're behind in the polls, and what is the best that can come out of this? You either get Gordon Brown badly wounded but soldiers on, or maybe there'll be a leadership contest and no one will be able to agree who the candidate should be. And you're just providing, I would imagine Eric Pickles is having an extra cake today.
I don't think that's true. You use decadent in a very strange way that I don't recognise. The fact of the matter is that there is this discontent in the parliamentary party. There's this discontent amongst leaders in local government.
But maybe the time was 6 months ago or a year ago.
Well, I'm sorry, I've been pretty consistent in this. I've wanted this right from the, certainly very stridently, I've been calling for this since June. But every kind of way has been used by Number 10 and their operation, which is very powerful, to keep this at bay. If they'd been honest enough to say, yes, we'll face an election in the PLP, this would have been sorted a long time ago.
Sure, but they are, understandably, they're fighting with every means possible. Just take me through the practicalities of this. What needs to happen for this contest to be triggered? Don't you need to get new names, not just Barry Sheerman or Charles Clarke or Pat Hewitt or Jeff Hoon? Don't you need to get some new names, people you think, oh my goodness, I didn't know they thought like that?
Well, I have to tell you, sleepy old media that you are, that until this morning you didn't know about Jeff Hoon and Patricia Hewitt. They are two astoundingly new names, and there are many more to come. So
oh, you know that, do you?
I suspect that, and I think that you...
Do you know that?
If you did your research a little bit better in the media, you might actually have known something was coming. But I have to tell you...
Well, hang on, sorry, Mr. Sheerman, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you there.
No,
because, no, you've said something very interesting.
No, I'm going to stop you, because what you're trying to do, and this is, every time there's any dissent from the backbenches of a parliamentary party, you people seem to pile on in support of the Prime Minister. Well, I have to say...
I'm not piling on the support of anybody. I'm just asking you a question. You've said two things that have contradicted themselves. One, you have said it's the fault of the media that if we'd done our research properly, we would have known that there was this thing coming. And you said to me about 3 minutes ago, you had no idea it was coming. It sounds like you did know it was coming.
There were no new names. And, you know, you've got Jeff Hoon and Patricia Hewitt today, but you still say there are no new names. I'm saying to you that I suspect, because of the bubbling discontent beneath the surface, that other names will now materialise. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sorry, you said to me that if we'd done our research, we would have known that this was coming. But you earlier had said to me you had no idea this was coming.
If you seriously talk to people on the back benches, which you don't do well enough, I have to say, you would have known that this was bubbling away. Indeed, you didn't speak to me after I wrote an article in the Independent only just at Christmas, calling for a leadership change. This hadn't gone away. There are many of us that still passionately believe that if you've got a party leader, his personal rating is well below his party, then you have to look at the leadership. And if you've also got a leadership with his main lieutenant who believe that relying on the traditional Labour vote and giving up that cross-country coalition that the Blair administration had built is a disaster. So we've been expressing this view for a very long time. What's coming out today is a frustration that people haven't listened to us.
Just clarify this for me, because I'm still puzzled. Did you know this was coming or not?
No, I didn't. I knew that there was discontent bubbling across the party in a number of areas, but I did until last night when I heard that something was coming from Jeff Hoon and Patricia Hewitt. I knew nothing about it.
Yeah. Just for the record, we do interview you quite a lot, Mr. Sheerman, wouldn't you say? It's not a strange. You're not a stranger to our studios. That's expressing
true.
This opinion.
That's true. But you know,
what are you complaining about then? That we don't interview you?
To be angry when the whole of the interview seems to be on the predisposition that what I'm doing is, in some sense, disloyal. Let me tell you, my loyalty is to my principles, my moral principles, my political principles, to my country, and then to my party. And I don't need anyone that undermined the previous Prime Minister and was utterly disloyal telling me that I'm disloyal.
Barry Sheerman, grateful to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
OK, let's just update you on the latest as well, because